Pokemon is now on the blockchain. Does that mean all the hacks were Gary's fault? This is around the blockchain. Thank you for joining, everybody. We got a phenomenal cast today. 3 great guests. Let's go ahead and hit that like button for them. We're going to start on the bottom left. We have Firoz holding it down. Firoz, I might have to do a wardrobe change so I can rock the white tee later on. So we'll see if the camera comes off easy. Who knows? How are you doing today?
It's good, but it's actually yellow. It's actually yellow, funny enough.
It is. Oh. I just thought y'all had a dirty smog ridden air in the UK.
We do have that as well.
Oh, okay. Also on today, he's you know what? He's always fighting the fog because everywhere he emerges, it looks like a music video. I'm talking about Doug Hype, of course. Doug, how are you doing today?
Man, I'm doing so good, DZ. There's a lot of cool stuff happening in Web3 and NFTs. You know what I'm saying? The rest of the world is saying NFTs are dead, and I'm saying, like, baby, I've got some news for you right now.
I think you need to check that Nakamigos. I don't know if he has a driver's license, Doug. Also on today, we have Tim Warren. Tim, how are you? Hey, you're in the office. Tim, hold it down. How are you doing today?
I'm doing swell. It has been a long day, DZ. Been in office since about 7:30 this morning and probably going to stay for about another hour after the show. But I'm doing good. Hopefully I get about 2 hours of sleep tonight.
All right. I got Boomer Eyes. Is that a Virginia Tech helmet in the background there?
It is because we are the best terrible team in the country.
All right. Hey, there's probably two fans. 2 fans are going to appreciate that. If you do like VT, let us know in the comments here. All right. Let's talk about Circle versus Tether. We have a showdown of the stablecoins, everybody. And the teams have been increasingly becoming agitated with the other company. If we look at it, the market cap, Tether is 80 billion. Circle is only 25. So on that metric, I mean, Tether is certainly winning. But they have been increasingly escalating the tension. I'm just going to go over maybe 2 remarks here. Earlier this year, Silicon Valley Bank collapsed. We all remember that. Well, you know who had a lot of funds, Silicon Valley Bank? It was Circle. Circle lost a decent amount of funds. They didn't have all their funds there. I think less than 10%, 8 or 9%. Well, Tether CTO didn't waste that opportunity to fire a shot at Circle. Tether CTO said, hey guys, this is a basic mistake in risk management. He called them basic, folks. Well, you know what? Circle's pissed too. Circle fired back at Tether. This is recently Circle's chief strategy officer fired back at Tether saying, didn't name Tether, but he said 1/2 of the stablecoin market is counterfeiting the US dollar. Well, if you do the math, there's only one possible entity that could be half of the stablecoin market. That's Tether, folks. So he's basically saying Tether is printing counterfeit dollars. So it's not looking friendly here at the moment, Firoz. What do you feel about the chief strategy officer alluding that Tether is printing counterfeit dollars? Is this just a salty Team Circle person, or is there maybe some validity here?
Well, I think it's a combination of both. Yeah, you're going to be salty, right? Because these guys, clearly have a much larger market share. So you're going to be a bit bitter about it. But at the same time, I would say that there is a bit of genuine concern. I think if you compare the two together, regardless of the dominance perspective, I think with USDC, they're much more compliant, right? There is, when it looks at Tether, there's not as much transparency, first of all. Regulation as well at the same time. They don't really tick those boxes. They're not really fully backed by fiat reserves either. We don't really know how much. We have a rough idea, but it's certainly not as much as they allude to. And again, things like market manipulation. Who in crypto isn't really involved in market manipulation at the end of the day? Money laundering, well, we kind of see that with the big banks as well at the same time. But I think one thing that does scare me, or I would say, I would be more cautioned about, is that I would prefer, when it comes to stable coins, to see a dominance that's really shared across the board amongst many stable coins, rather than too heavy in one. Because let's be honest, if something does happen to Tether, on a situation where there is some sort of systemic issue, that trigger is going to be huge across the market. You are going to see people withdrawing or changing over from Tether to something else, and that's when you then have more problems, runs, etc. So I think that's my only major concern. I'd like to see a bit more balance when it comes to stable coins.
All right. No, you brought up their reserves. We actually have a graphic. This is from Circle and Tether's attestations and reports. For Tether, This is from Q1 of this year. And for Circle, this is from May 17th of this year. So Q1, this one's maybe about 6 months old, but this one's a little bit more recent right there. So yeah, I mean, largely pretty similar right there. All right, well, Doug, if you could only use one stable coin for the rest of your life, this is the only stable coin you can ever buy your future fur coats, your future sunglasses, your future supercars. What stable coin would you choose to transact with for the remainder of Doug's existence?
The big winner is, because it's really funny, I was doing some work with one of our buddies, Seth. He was sending me some funds, and this is when Circle went down, and he had, without even knowing ahead of time that it was going to happen, sent me Tether. So I went back in, and I had no problems during that whole market change. And I was like, thank God for Tether, and thank God for Seth being a smart dude. Not only that, if I'm going to bet on a stable coin, I'm probably betting on one backed by the cartels, because you know what I'm saying? They can just dump tons of money in there in a second. Not a problem, right? The world works like this, guys, DZ. Wherever money is, that's where the power is. The U.S. government might want to come in and step in, but do we want that to happen? Probably not. We don't probably want them attached to anything we're doing here, in Web3. So I'm going to go with Tether if I have to pick one of them. They also have the bigger market cap. They also seem to be being a little bit less apprehensive and anxious about the situation, right? They just seem to be confident. So, confidence, cartels, it's super cool, all the different C's. So we're going to go with Tether on this one, DZ. And not to say that I don't use USDC every day. And we probably could use some more stable coins, right? If there's any more new platforms coming out, new coins, they should think about that. You know what I'm saying? If we had 4 or 5 stable coins, we'd probably have a lot more sentiment in the space. And we wouldn't have we don't want to have one thing, one cataclysm just take us all down, because the problem is if sentiment goes down in one thing, right? Circle, the next thing you know, it could be in Tether, and people that waterfall effect could be terrible. So we want to have stability, and you want to spread things out, right? In investing, you don't want to have things all just one central place. So I agree with those sentiments also.
All right. And now what? I would agree with you. I'll give you one extra point. I too would choose Tether. Chat, what would you choose? Looks like we got some on Tether, some on USDC. Donald Pepe, USDC all the way. But Eric, hey, Tether man. He's the Tether man. All right. Well, Tim man, can you tell me one, he briefly described a DPEG, just in 1 or 2 sentences. What is a DPEG for maybe that 5-10% of the viewers who might not know? And second question, of Circle and Tether, who is more likely to not exist in, say, 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, depegging, first of all, really, really simple. Most people understand this, but the point of a stable coin is to attach itself to a fiat currency. In this case, we're talking about 2 United States dollar stable coins, so they attach to the dollar. So depegging is more often not used when it's a negative term, meaning the price drops below. At all times, a stable coin should be costing $1, but you have seen times where it drops 90 cents.
Yeah,
I think there's been other times we've seen it drop even lower, but that's a depegging. But technically, it's depegging when it goes above that as well, because that's not healthy for it either. It needs to stay at 1.00 or 9999999 or 1.0000001. So it needs to stay really close to that one to be healthy and do its job correctly. The second question of which one is going to be going away or more likely to go away in the next 5 years is a pretty simple one, and that is USDC. And when you're breaking this stuff down, even when looking at the story that was posted tonight that would start this whole topic, does this not, DZ, just seem like almost the epitome of the exact same thing that happened between FTX and Binance? Of course, we're talking about 2 of the largest exchanges in the game. They actually did a lot of things together. FTX started to have some problems. I think we're going to talk about FTX later on in the show. Binance was hovering right there for a second, but then FTX collapses because it appears that they had no backing whatsoever. They did everything illegally, and they go down, and they immediately try to point the finger at Binance and say, what about them? Let's check on them. And now that started a whole year and some change of unfounded lawsuits and ridiculous things happening between the SEC and Binance, in which case we have now been graced with many appearances of the classic 4 from CZ, talking about FUD. But you have one exchange that is backing their trading and their accounts with money, and they're putting themselves in a position that they will not go down. You have the other that's cheating the system. Well, kind of similar thing here, is it not, DZ, where USDC clearly, I would agree with the CTO of Tether, they made some colossal mistakes with how they backed up their money. They were caught in it and had to be bailed out by the US government What does that kind of sound like? Who is FTX partnered with? The US government. And so they, of course, want to point the finger and say, well, we had problems, but yes, so does Tether. So does Binance. So does, don't just talk about how we did. They have, if we messed up, they had to mess up. And in reality, there's no evidence of that. There's no evidence of that whatsoever. So to me, it almost feels like a deja vu situation to last fall with the whole FTX and Binance shabacle. And we'll see how it shakes out. But easy answer, 5 years from now, the one more likely to be gone, it's USDC.
All right. One little quick clarification right there. You said, FTX was not backed. It was partially backed. It was partially backed by the Polycule. It's part of the Polycule. And the Polycule knows all about depegging. There it is a positive. All right. Let's move on and talk about the Flash crash, also related to. Anyways. All right. Yeah. Talking about Bitcoin flash crash. This happened in October of 2021, actually on 10/21/2021. Bitcoin fell down to $8,000 on some exchanges. I did a little bit of research on TradingView. I just went to the top exchange that popped up at the time. It was MEXC when I was looking up Bitcoin spot. I put it on the 2-hour chart. And then this is actually October 21st. So I wanted to go to a non-FTX related entity and a non-Binance US related entity to see what did that flash crash do to other exchanges. Can you go back to it one more time? You can see here, the day started, it was $65,000 at the time of the crash or the flash crash, and then fell from 65 all the way down right at 60. So even other exchanges, with the arbitrage, felt severe impacts, 5K here, 10K there. Some cases close to 50K. But it's an ex-researcher at Alameda spilling the beans. The flash crash was FTX's and Alameda's fault. They go by Aditya Bharadwaj, I believe. Hopefully I'm saying that correct. And they revealed at the time Bitcoin is trading at 65. One of the employees misplaced a decimal. If I had to guess, I would say instead of 65,000, they said, yeah, let's go ahead and do this for 6,500. Arbitrage traders quickly took advantage of the mispricing. That's why you just saw, different effects depending on the exchange, depending on their order book. And they claimed most of Alameda trades were executed by algorithms. However, they had human overrides. Caroline and Co. had the human overrides so they could take advantage of market volatility. Well, let's go back to that chart one more time. That was a quick, brief flash to the pump. That was a quick pump. So we hit 69 shortly thereafter. So maybe they were trying to sell some of that $65,000 Bitcoin. Accidentally sold it for $6,500 there. At the time, Binance US, they issued a statement back in 2021. They said the crash was due to a bug in the trading system of one of their institutional traders. They actually didn't throw Alameda under the bus there. Now, Firoz, I want to ask, what would you do if you were, let's just say, you replaced Caroline Ellison? I don't want to put you in Caroline's shoes there. That'd be a scary proposition. The cucumber swinging above you. But let's just say you are the head of Alameda. What would you do? An employee just lost you tens of millions of dollars, the person revealed. But they said it was an honest mistake. What's Firoz's punishment here?
Well, it seems to be my default answer. That you're going to have to duck for that cucumber because that's going to come flying at that person personally. But saying that, look, I think there's a couple of things I want to say here, actually. If we go back to the early days of crypto, if we kind of go back to 2017, when we had the ICO madness and a lot of the sort of pre-sales were done in Ethereum, and it wasn't really back to anything else, i.e. there wasn't really a US dollar value, you were ultimately trading in, you were buying 0.0001 of this or that. So I think to a certain extent, those mistakes can happen. I would expect them to happen. But in this instance, I think also what I would want to see is, how many longs were wiped out by this accident? Sure, they might have lost a few million, but what about everybody else betting against the house at that point? What about positions that they or somebody else may have had in other exchanges? Because most of these things do ultimately ripple over from one exchange to the other. Might not be to that same extent, but we, as you mentioned before, we saw 5K down, 10K down here and there. So what happens if they had short positions open on the other exchanges? They could have actually profited somewhere else. So those are the questions that I would really be asking. Maybe I would be giving the person who made that mistake a pat on the back and maybe a nice little bonus as well.
Excellent points. Yeah, it may have lost tens of millions at Alameda, but maybe that short position on that Binance, that fee mix, and that KuCoin printing money there. Good points there. All right, now Doug, Binance US actually covered for Sam and Caroline, covered for FTX and Alameda. Does that surprise you? What were your thoughts on that?
It's tough when we get into the minutia of things, right? Like they seem to want to Binance to be the good guy a lot of the time, right? And like maybe they cover because maybe they had some assets involved in this that they were worried about. They don't want the sentiment of the market to go down. They don't want their things to go down, right? So a lot of what happens in the press or you see in media is just a cover. It's just a cover for whatever is going on behind the scenes. You just don't know. You're being manipulated by it and everything, and the thing is that like usually they only throw someone under the bus when it's part of their plan that they need for in the future, right? What their roadmap is. We now see there's an alert. We need to do something about FTX. Then we're going to throw them under the bus or let people know about it. But until then, nobody's going to give like much of any information. So this is going to go along with whatever they agree with, whatever their thing is. And, a lot of people love Binance and they think that they're always trying to do the right thing. I'm always a person that's very skeptical and thinks that they're probably going to make a move just to cover their tracks. And who knows, maybe they did this because they didn't want to look further into something, right? Sometimes you see an error and a mistake. You don't want to look further because you're like, there might be more things in here that if we find it wouldn't be good. And then we have to like take our assets out and there's a lot of bad things that could possibly happen, right? So a lot of times people are just preventing more danger from happening and they're not looking deep enough, which is partly part of the reason that FTX was able to like operate for so long. Everybody's covering someone else's butt because they don't want to also let people see what they're doing, right?
Yeah.
It's a whole story of FTX and why things don't always work out the way that we think that they would.
It's like the curmudgeon that doesn't want to go to the doctor. Hey, if I don't get the CT scan, I won't. Hey, nothing's wrong with me, right?
Because they might find
solid
other things wrong about me.
Yeah, solid logic there. All right, now Tim, what's your experience, with market bids? Have you ever, been able to get some of these flash crashes? What happens with that? It went to 8K. I imagine there's some people who had buy orders at 20K. When it's at 65, probably has some buy orders at 59K. Is this something that, maybe 90% of the people get their bids filled or closer to 1% of the people get their bids filled or even lower?
It all depends on different things. So while this one actually probably did have certain people get them filled, you can't fill everything. So that's another thing is, let's say there was millions and millions and millions of buy orders. Let's say there was let's say there's $10 million of buy orders all the way down there, but their sell order was only like for $1 million. You can't get all of those closed, right?
Good point.
So that's the first thing that I would say. The other thing is sometimes there's these flash crashes and no money was actually exchanged. There was a glitch in the technology and no money actually was lost or gained. So, I've heard people out there putting things, what they would call like angel investments kind of, or like angel wicks or, death wicks or something, where it's like, hey, just in case there was something like this and just in case I could capitalize on it, I'll put in a buy order there. But then it's like, all right, well, like you covered in the intro here, just because it happened on one exchange didn't mean it happened on all of them. You have to guess which exchange is going to have these flash crashes. You have to pick a good number, and then you have to be lucky to be one of the ones who actually gets to fall within that grouping of however much is being sold. You fall into the top notch of the ones that buy. So is there a strong strategy presented here to say you should start putting all these crazy low orders of buy orders in and you'll strike it rich? There's not a lot of hope that it's going to happen, but is it possible? Absolutely. So why not? Why not go ahead and put a buy order back in for Bitcoin at 15K? Go ahead and put a buy order back in at 11K. If Savvy has his way, go ahead and put a buy order in at 3,500. And you know what? If the price goes down there, you look like a freaking genius. The chances of it happening, very slim. Some might say none. But that's kind of how that one works.
All right. Well, we're going to switch gears here now, guys, because it is time to catch them all. Time to catch them all. I have two younger people on the producing side here. Do either one of you guys play Pokemon Go on your phone? Used to? Okay, no, and a used to. Okay, I used to. I think the whole world did for about 2 weeks during that one summer. Well, Pokemon kicked off their first NFT collection on Polygon. It's not actually from the company behind Pokemon, but it's a company featuring the iconic Pokemon cards from the OG base set, folks. We're not talking about the pack you buy at Walmart today. We're talking about taking the DeLorean back 20 years and getting some iconic packs there. It's made by Courtyard.io, and the NFTs sold out in seconds. I kind of want to just show some of their platform here. This isn't sponsored or anything. Just to show you kind of what it looked like. This is some of them right there, and I call it the stress test, and you get a pack for $5. You don't know what's going to be in it. More than likely, you're not getting a Pokemon card. Very, very low odds. But those $5 packs shot up to $50 just on the chance that you're going to get it on the secondary. I just checked eBay, by the way, for that base set. Just one pack of cards, they'll sell for $200 all day. You got people trying to sell them for $300 on eBay. Also, in this NFT launch by Courtyard, they have a complete sealed booster box. Those things go for $15,000 sealed still. There's also a lot of fakes. You got to be careful out there. Pay money Webby just got hit with it. I just looked up some Pokemon stats. 480 million units sold for the video game there. Now, let's pull up the iconic card here. It's one of my favorite Pokemon. I'm talking about the Charizard, of course. We have, let's zoom in a little bit. These things go for a beat-up condition, the one that's been in little Timmy's book bag with the rubber band around it. Moderately played, going for $1,100, folks. Now, Firoz, you mint the NFT, you pull the Charizard. What are you going to do?
Well, first I admire that majestic, fire-breathing like creature with its fiery tail for starters. So what do I do? Other than that, I think I'd go and find some young kids that have a lot more hair than me and say, hey, look what I've got, just for that, envy look. And then I'd be like, you know what? I'm going to hide that card so far somewhere inside me where no one can ever find it. And I'm going to wait until 2024, 2025, and I'm going to sell that card at the height of the next bull run. That's exactly what I'm going to do, DZ.
Okay, all right. He's selling it and turning it into more crypto, folks. I love it. Now, Doug, what are your thoughts on Pokemon as an IP within Web3? Is this too young of a fan base for us to have any kind of real monetary volume, real kind of attraction? Or is this maybe the perfect vehicle to onboard that next generation?
I support DZ everything about bringing Web 2 into Web 3, bringing people in with Pokemon. If I played Pokemon Go in the past, I tried it out and everything. I think Pokemon are great. I'm not super into it myself. I'm more into things like our actual Web 3 Pokemon. Like if you look over my shoulder here at this thing called the NFT Pokemon, it's called a Nakamigo, right? That just sold out in like 3 seconds and 20,000 pieces. Okay. So it's cute that Pokemon comes in with their $5 cards, that you can buy and open it up. And sometimes it might even be a Pokemon, might not be. But like if you look at stats and you want to look at truth, Nakamigo sold out 20,000 in like 3 seconds, right? And the market's going nuts. And you can find some for like 30 ETH right now, right? Okay, show me a Pokemon in that collection right there that's going for 30 ETH, right? Equivalency, probably not. And those are OG Pokemon, all right? So when people said, there's also news reports today, we saw Rolling Stone and other people reporting that 95% of NFTs have no value and everything that you own in your wallet just means nothing. Well, guess what? Stuff like Nakamigos exists and people love it and they're trading them like Pokemon like crazy right now. They might develop it into a game. And now I'm not anti-Pokemon. I think it's great. If you love Pokemon and you're Logan Paul or whatever, and you got a $3 million Pokemon, or maybe if you're like Post Malone and you're super into Magic the Gathering, we love it all. Bring all that gaming, bring it into Web3 where you can put it on the blockchain, you can tokenize it, you know what I'm saying? So like it's all love here, but we are alive and well in Web3 right now. And I'm going to give a shout out to all the people that are participating, that are enjoying Web3. You know what I mean? You might have a Pokemon in your pocket and soon you might have a real life Nakamigo in your pocket. It might be the next Pokemon, DZ. You better watch out.
Ditto. Is that a Doug Trio in your pocket? All right. Where's it? Dave Digital. Don't do that, Firoz. Find a young kid and say, look what I've got. Don't do it. Just probably sound advice, Firoz. Dave Digital always got the funny comments there. Here, if you did pull it, this is actually what it looks like on chain. They have a little thing here. If we wait about 1 sec, oh, look, it spins every 5 seconds or so. All right. Now, Tim, what's a bigger IP that you want to see on the blockchain, bigger than an Onyx?
We got to start off
Snorlax.
here.
That was better.
We got to start off by reminding people because I don't know how whenever I come on, somehow Pokemon makes its way on. I'm not really an NFT guy, and I'm definitely not a Pokemon guy. In fact, when you asked earlier if any of us had played Pokemon Go, I'm not a fan of finding my way under a bridge in the middle of the night and getting beat up. So that's the main reason why I stayed away from Pokemon.
All right, that's
Go.
a good point. That's a good. All right, look, in 2023, it's a little bit more dangerous to play Pokemon Go than versus 2018.
One thing you got to give it is, I guess at this point, you have to have a level of athleticism. You either have to fight or flight. So you got to be able to
run from the crackheads.
Or have some good boxing, so I'll give it that. But yeah, no, there's a lot of IP I would put above Pokemon, but you can't argue with results. I mean, it is the number one video game. It's the number one IP. In fact, I Googled it before the show was over. What are some of the top IPs in the world? Pokemon is number one, but let's look at some of its good competition here, DZ. Mickey Mouse and Friends. Mickey Mouse and Friends could take it over. That's coming in second place. Winnie the Pooh. I'm going to tell you right now, Winnie the Pooh is my early favorite to overtake Pokemon. It's friendly. No one, to my knowledge, has been beaten up over Winnie the Pooh. Maybe someone in chat has a story that they need to tell a therapist, but we can keep moving on. Star Wars is up there. That's a fan favorite. That one's pretty big. Disney Princess. We're going to move on. I don't know. I don't even know what this other one is. I'm sure it's some sort of anime, which I also am, I'm just not in the anime.
Naruto, maybe?
I don't know. It's Pan Man or something. I don't know. I've never seen it.
There's so many anime fans mad at both of us right now.
Good. Okay. Wizard World from Harry Potter is also a really big one. And of course, then you have Barbie coming in. Barbie is going to be big, especially with the latest movies coming out. Be like Ken and go buy some Bitcoin. I'm going to go with my personal choice for this list, Winnie the Pooh. Winnie the Pooh never did anything to anybody. He's the perfect example. I am all for a Winnie the Pooh takeover of Pokemon in the NFT space.
All right, and fans are pointing out on Vivi, you can get the Star Wars Disney Winnie the Pooh already. So, hey, Tim, maybe check that out. Go browse it with kid, maybe a little too young. But my complaint about Vivi is the money's trapped on there. You put in, you give them $100, and then good luck trying to get $100 back into your bank account. Really just not possible without a whole bunch of jumping through hoops there. But folks, we had a great show. Type in your favorite Pokemon. I want to know what it is. DZ probably going to choose Mr. Mime. It's a good one. Mr. Mime's a good one. Doug, you have a favorite Pokemon?
I like Charizard. I like big dragons. I love Web3 gaming and stuff. So I got to go with my boy Charizard. He's big, he's intimidating, and he's got some sexiness to him, baby.
Firoz, you have a favorite?
It's going to have to be Pikachu. I'm wearing the yellow. Going to have to be Pikachu.
Wow, that almost puts you in the lead just right there with that answer. I can't believe no one else said Pikachu. I'm waiting for chat to say Pikachu. All right, well, folks, that is all we have time for. What the heck? All right, I feel like that's not a real Pokemon, and I don't want to say it. iMusic. I don't know. Okay, maybe it is. I don't know. Tim, it looks like you ended up taking it down. It was a very close one. I thought Doug was going to take it. I thought him and the Nakamigo was going to ride to the victory lane. But Tim, it ended up being
This is always
you.
what happens, DZ. It's scripted. It's fine. It's not a big deal.
Hey, I said Nakamigos, right? Wink, wink. Did we have the handshake? All right, I have to say it one more time. Nakamigos. There we go. I'm just joking. I do like that project. But Tim, feel free. Leave us with some parting thoughts.
Oh, wow. How about that? I won on an NFT Pokemon night. That's how you know miracles are still possible. Make sure you guys follow everybody who is up here on the panel. Hit subscribe to their channels. Shout out to the Investing Bros channel. I'm going to be moving next week. Me and T-Shirt, my partner, I want to make sure you guys know we're moving from our morning time slot of 9 to 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 4 to 5. So we will be kind of going right before the show. Make sure you come check out Investing Bros. And then always, always come back and watch ATB. That's all I got.
All right, we're going to end with Chief Santana's favorite Pokemon. And guys, make sure you check out in the description. Everyone has fantastic content that they're putting out. Also, you're going to see a link for Linqto. Highly recommend checking that out. If you want to invest like an accredited investor, but you're just a regular Joe like DZ, it's a really, really good site. And that's all we got. Let's just go end with Santana's favorite Pokemon here.